What is happening, everybody? trueeevil here, and today I'm going to be showcasing some of my PvP testing on Liliam's buffs to see whether or not she is now Giga broken or she's just an S tier character that's been bumped up a little bit. Previously, I would have put her at a high A tier, low S tier ranking on a tier list. And, she just got buffed out the wazoo. If you don't know how much she got buffed, look here, and as you can see, it is incredibly high for a character like this to be buffed. And I don't need to tell you that she's absolutely broken in PvE, and she's just bulldozing everything there. But we really want to test PvP because this is a PvP gotcha game. So before we begin, I want to talk about the community reaction to these buffs because it happened very abruptly, and I would say that the feedback to it was very mixed. On one hand, a lot of the community is actually really happy about this, super positive about it, because it makes Liliam into a PvE powerhouse. She is steamrolling everything in under a minute, it feels like, and it's absolutely crazy how strong she is in PvE. Which is a little weird because she was marketed as a PvP character. I don't know why everyone wanted her for PvE, but it is what it is. She's now a PvE powerhouse. But since she was marketed as a PvP, we need to think about how the PvP community is acting to these buffs, because it's not just that these buffs happened in PvE, they're also affecting PvP. And, well, she was already good in PvP, right? And with these buffs, a lot of people are worried that she's just going to be giga broken OP. And more importantly, I would say the biggest factor of this is that we have been told previously that there wouldn't be significant character changes in the middle of a season. And now, well, we got a significant character change in the middle of a season. And people have already started distributing their lattices, so it feels very, very bad, right? If you didn't put your lattices into Lilium because, well, you would think something like Veronica would help your account, maybe building like Rahu or something, you would have built Lilium if she had the buffs before the season, right? But you didn't know. It's been like a weekend, you sort of waited, and we did get a message that they weren't planning on doing any changes for the actual balance patch, which had a lot of people were calling for Bloodbath to be nerfed. And, well, it's a really big feels bad, and a lot of people are upset about this, but I want to just test her today and really see, does it matter that much in PvP? Now, in terms of principles, I do think that we deserve a reset event because of this, because, well, it feels very, very bad right now, I would say, in terms of just investing in characters, just because of how long it takes to build characters up. I would really hope that they would do a reset event because of this, but they most likely won't. I don't think they're going to do that, even though they definitely should. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to show how strong she is. So without further ado, let's get to the testing. Now, since my Lilium isn't fully built, what I did do for the testing is I got my friend who has a 555 Lilium with 1 dupe. Here are the stats for it, and I just wanted to show what the Lilium looks like. I think this is a really strong Lilium in terms of people who are just playing the game, just starting out. It's not a fully duped one, which you will most likely see in a top 10 situation. But if you're just playing PvP, I would say this is generally going to be what the majority of the player base is going to look like once they sort of have that final build Lilium up. So I think this is a really good one to test, and not someone who has just a uber wailed on Lilium. So just wanted to show that out before the gameplay footage. Now, I'm not going to commentate on the footage. I'm just going to play the videos out, and then I will talk about them afterwards. So from this initial testing, what I found out was that although Lilium does steal a ton of HP away, as long as you have a character that can provide that consistent attack down and speed down, you're pretty much good to go. So a character like Viper, who I've been picking a little bit less this season because there's a lot less cleave, and characters like, say, Rahu and Holden don't scale off attack. I will say with this Lilium buff, you're going to be seeing a lot more Viper, because Viper single-handedly made me not lose that match, and that's really important. And as you watch it, you could say that I only won because of some lucky counters. Well, everything in the game kind of has counter right now, so I don't think you can really say that, right? You know, Makoto has tons of counter, Holden has tons of counter, Tiamat has tons of counter. Everyone's just countering right now, so I wouldn't really say that. So as long as you have a character like Viper to provide that consistent attack down, and I would also mention Kazuyo is also another character that provides that consistent attack down, I think you're going to be pretty strong, because she is still a little bit squishy, even with the bloodbath. So just pointing that out there. So I'm going to give my final thoughts right now because even though I have a lot more footage to show, that last match really has my general thoughts about Liliam's buffs, which is she does an insane amount of damage now. She sealed half of my Holden's HP at the very beginning of that match, which is insane because my Holden is max dupe and very, very strong. So to see that is crazy. But more importantly, we saw Liliam's weakness, which is, well, she's squishy. We were able to mow her down pretty quickly and really stop her from really popping off because she has that weakness. And in the first game, we saw that she is pretty weak to dispel and attack down and speed down from a character like Viper. So definitely things to consider. And because she is definitely play aroundable, I will give her that she's not Giga broken. I'm going to say she's just a strong S tier unit, and I expect that from most LD units. So I don't think the buff is too crazy, even though I don't think that the buff was that Giga broken and it's perfectly fine. I will say this has been the biggest negative feeling I've had for the game since launch, and they really have to remedy this because I think a lot of people aren't going to take this game seriously anymore, because I personally don't think you can take this game seriously as a competitive PvP game, and you know that's going to be really tough to recover from. They have to do some things to build trust back in the community, at least in the competitive side. So I do think we have to have a reset event because of how abrupt this change was, and it happened in the middle of an RTA season. It just has to happen because right now people are ready to jump ship. They have to do something to really make the player base actually want to play this game, because right now where it stands, if things like this just keep happening, everyone is going to jump ship to Star Savior. And I still like this game. I still want to cover it on my channel, but the more things like this happen, the more it's going to be difficult to do that because, well, the player base is going to get smaller from things like this. So hopefully they do a reset event, or at least do something to make me build trust in the game again, because right now it's becoming less and less, and I hope they really remedy that because I do love Etheria Restart, and I hope that they make it so I can love it as much as I did last month. So just wanted to say that little tidbit there. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this buff, and well, if you're looking forward to Star Savior.